Good morning, good afternoon, and welcome to episode 33 of BDAchat. Apologies, last week we were just so busy, we just didn't have time, unfortunately, to create the BDAchat last week. But this week we're back, and you may have noticed that we're joined by, well, three unfamiliars. This week we're joined by, some of them you may notice. So we've joined by Cabe, we've got Kyle,
hello,
and we've got Paul.
hello.
And this week we're going to talk about the art of the creative brief, and basically how you interpret that brief, how you deconstruct it, the good, the bad, and the ugly of creative briefs. They're not all good. Some you can get great, but you can unfortunately get some real stinkers out there. So I suppose we crack on. Who wants to lead? Who's got a creative brief they want to leap into, or anything they want to bring to the table about the? By the way, I'm hoping that you've got ice cream where you are, because it is 33 degrees.
Melting.
We are melting.
Melting.
Anyway,
I think that's accurate.
It is literally.
I'm melting.
I feel like the end of Raiders of the Lost Ark. My face is melting off.
Wonderful.
I have eyeballs made out of polystyrene. Anyway,
We'll be mopping you up in a minute.
who wants to go first with their creative brief?
Yeah, I guess, has anybody got any experience of a bad brief? Has anybody got any ideas here and now what a bad brief is?
Yeah. I mean, I think we've all probably had a bad brief somewhere along the line.
Bad grief or bad brief?
Bad brief
Bad
and
brief.
grief from the brief.
Type briefs?
Yeah, I would say obviously when a client comes to you, you obviously you want to direct them and help them out as much as possible. But when they have some idea in their head and concept in their head and there's no manoeuvre whatsoever, it can lead to a bad brief. But again, it all depends on the context of the brief and the project in hand. But yeah, I think you get quite a lot of bad briefs out there.
So what, like a pre-prescribed brief? It's almost like they've already told you what they want?
Yeah, they tell you what they want, and then there's no budging, and you don't feel like there's any flexibility, so you can't do anything out of scope or anything.
Yeah.
But yeah, there's many ways at which a brief can go bad, but that could be the beginning of one right there.
I think that's sometimes to do with negative energy as well.
Yeah.
And that you get a creative brief. You're in theory the
creative one, yeah.
And if you can't be creative with that brief because it's too sort of channeled in, there's no room for you to manoeuvre. It's kind of like stay on target.
Yeah.
I'm getting loads of these. Oh, we've been joined. Oh, look, we've got a special guest. It's the BDA Wasp. So don't worry. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
That have infected the toilet. It's like, what's that film, The Candyman? Anyway. So where was I?
I think there is a brief that you can directly ask for what it is you want. So I need a brochure and I need it to be X amount of pages, or whether it's a digital project, and that's, you kind of just need that outline brief to know what.
You need to know what you need to produce. Yeah.
And then there's the brief that you get, which I think are probably the best ones, where you work with the client and you don't actually necessarily have probably the best brief in the world to start with.
Yep.
But what you've got is just the essence of something to get a project started, because they know they need something, but probably they're not entirely sure they know what they need.
Yeah.
So kind of you work with the client to get that.
Yeah.
And they're the
Teamwork.
Yeah, exactly.
I think the key point there is there has to be a goal, and it might not be exactly what they need to produce, but there needs to be a clear goal. And I think sometimes that gets a little lost of what is the one thing you want to achieve from this campaign or leaflet or whatever you're doing. And sometimes that should just really be a simple sentence, but you can get 4 paragraphs referring to 8 different points about different things they want to achieve, and it can get quite lost and confusing before you've even started thinking about the creative behind that.
Yeah. So you could argue then that a creative brief could be literally just one line, because then it's kind of like, what do you want to achieve, rather than the end product? Right, I need a brochure. Why do you need a brochure?
Might not be that you
might not need a brochure. I need a video.
Yeah.
No, you might not need a video. What are you actually trying to achieve? We need to get this product, and we need this product to be number 2, or number 1, number 3. Brand recognition. Any of those things is more of a brief in a sense, because of what you actually want to achieve, rather than I need a brochure. It has to have 32 pages. And it needs to go out in the post, and it only can cost $5,000.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's like the value proposition. You need you need to know their pains and gains, and then you can kind of create a journey with them, and then iron out what exactly they need and what can benefit them and their clients, and move the thing forward and make it creative and enjoyable, which is what a brief should be.
And really understand as well what your client, whose client your client is, so that you really understand who it is you're marketing to, not just from the point of view of perhaps a bit of a silo. It has to be, you have to have the research there, or you have to have the knowledge there to know who it is your client wants to reach.
Yeah, I think nowadays as well, I think the brief has evolved a lot. Now you've got the introduction of obviously design sprints and scrums and all this sort of encapsulating thing that you get a client in and you get them more involved, you build up a lot of energy around a project, and you can make it a lot more exciting, I think, than you just get a brief and a bit of paper, hand it over, and that's it. You've got to keep revisiting this brief, you've got to keep everyone involved in it and keep the whole brief evolving. It's not just a single bit of paper that's flat and you get told what to do, basically. I think it should constantly keep evolving, keep pushing the boundaries and get everyone excited about it.
I just like I like the whole idea part of it. If you can't create any ideas with a brief, I think it's doomed to fail before it even starts, if I'm honest. Because for me, that's the best part of it. I mean, they may be a bit crazy, they may be a bit expensive. If me, then but that's where you have to shape it and mould it and try to make it work. Yeah. Just to fit the constraints. But then sometimes constraints are good. You know, sometimes
you know your boundaries.
It has to, and that's why sometimes it's hard, I think, to actually. I don't know where I sit with a creative brief anymore.
So would you prefer to know what your budget is, or would you prefer?
Well, sometimes it's kind of like, well, we've got this amount of money and we need it to do this, and it has to work in this language in this country, and but. I don't know, and as much as I've had briefs in the past where I think, this is really restrictive, but then
it's quite nice in a way.
Sometimes I quite enjoy that, and then I've read reports or read interviews with people about how do you work with a brief, and they've said the same, that if it's too restrictive, sometimes it does set your boundaries, so you know roughly, right, we can go here, we can go there, and sometimes it can make you more creative, because you've only got X amount of budget, you've got these constraints that you have to work within.
As opposed to having too wide a remit to work.
It's kind of like, right, what can we do? You can do anything, and then sometimes it can take longer to actually get the brief moving because you spend so much time in the idea phase. Yeah, and by the time you 3 weeks of idea generation, your budget is just sort of.
And a budget, obviously, it's a great thing to have. It's quite hard to get out of a client sometimes exactly how much they want to spend, because that's the pivotal point, that they want some great ideas but for very little sometimes. And this probably goes throughout the world. Everything comes at a price. Just how much effort and work goes into it. That's the thing.
And I guess if you can't get an idea of budget, there's you can either choose to break it down in sort of for the budget end of the spectrum you get this, for the mid spectrum you get this, and for the top it's this. But that does mean you do need something to guide you and help steer you. Otherwise, you don't know where you sit. Too.
And I have got. Sorry.
No, it's fine. I'll just sit here.
I've just got five little brief examples. Oh, okay. So just categorising them. We've got the first one is classed as the closed book.
What was that?
There's a closed book.
Oh, closed book.
So there's no manoeuvring. It's a fixed brief. Yep. Can't adapt. Second one is
that sounds like a mortgage plan.
This could be going that way. The second one is the 360. So the client doesn't really know what they want, so it goes one way and then comes all the way back around.
Variable brief,
Number 3 is the chameleon.
Oh,
constantly changing the mind.
Oh,
it does happen a lot. So number 3. Number 4 is the collision. The collision. This is basically where it's contradictory. All the information in there. So you go one way and then they say no, it doesn't go that way, but they've given you this information and it goes backward and forwards based on their input. So that's the collision. And number 5 is the dreamer. Can anyone guess what this one is?
I'm a dream. No.
Yeah.
They want a lot with very little.
Yes, exactly that. So they've got high expectations but very little budget. And that's the top 5.
Coming back to your one about the collision, though, it seems to be the agency thing to do, to almost go against a brief. Quite often you hear that. Yeah. And you quite often hear, what we did is we rewrote the brief, or we thought that what they were asking for wasn't the right thing to do. And if you genuinely believe as an agency that what you're suggesting is the right thing to do and it's going to improve what their original goal was, then I think you probably are going to have to buck the trend and go against it. But any thoughts here about, going back and reworking the brief?
Well, I mean, it's a bit of a challenge because sometimes, obviously, people have to answer to someone else above them, and there are things like time constraints is usually a big problem, budget, and obviously sort of creative ideas that we need to come up with. So in certain campaigns, it works really well to push back, especially in the larger projects. If someone comes to you and they go, we need to update our website, that's sort of an open book, and then you can change it and you can say, okay, no, we need to do more than that. Let's look at the back end, the design, everything, and rework it. But sometimes there just isn't the flexibility to do that. And I think it can work really well, but you've got to have the right client and agency relationship to pull it off.
Yeah, because we've had that a few times, I think, where the clients come to us with a scenario, and then having everyone come together and into the boardroom, as it were, and then come up with some great ideas and gone back to the client, and they've really got involved with it and with our ideas. And I think then, obviously, that's why they come to us, because sometimes they do want this input and creative input.
They want you to almost change their mind as to what it was they
So you get swings and roundabouts, I think, in that scenario.
It's funny because Carl, you work mainly with websites and design, so you're more design brief, whereas I'm unfortunately it's more video brief. Which sometimes I'd love to go back to the days where I need a website, I need to do this. I think sometimes it's a bit more clear cut. With video brief, it's a bit
open-ended.
It's a bit like, let's have some dancing ladies and let's do this, let's do that. What?
Yeah.
And it can be
a large scope, isn't there?
Yeah, especially when I start thinking about, let's do this, let's do that.
Yeah.
It can be quite time-consuming and almost, and it's sometimes in a way draining, because you want to get those ideas out and you want to make it work, but sometimes there's no clear path.
Sometimes there's so many ideas you can't see the wood.
And then you do need a budget.
You do,
and then it's like we need to figure out right.
Motion,
or you just try and make it, you reshape it to fit with what you've got. But
can you ever got any examples?
What of briefs that I've had? Well, probably.
Let's put you on the spot.
Verizon was probably, that was hard to break that down.
That was a big job, though, wasn't it?
To figure out how they wanted to go through all their service offerings and break down orchestration and make it hopefully slightly more understandable than how it was delivered to us when we were like, oh, okay. So that one was a challenge in that was so open ended.
Yeah.
And then in all fairness, that confused me for a long time.
So
because
a big amount of that brief was just to understand what the requirement was from the outset, wasn't it?
Just going through it. Yeah. And then you get other briefs where we've got one recently where we're working on a very short 30-second video. I won't tell you too much about it yet, but the brief is pretty nailed on what they want. Okay. And that's quite refreshing because they've really gone away and thought about it. And they thought, we know we don't want to make it too long. We know we need to make it quite vibrant and quite colourful and quite energetic. And when you get something like that, you can move those briefs along so much quicker because a lot of that heavy lifting has been done by the client who understands their product far better than I ever can. But then I think that's the other thing. I've read so many interviews with people to really understand a brief, you literally have to absorb everything you can about that subject matter, about the company, about what you're trying to represent, about what's gone on in the past, what's in the current trend in the news about that particular product or market, before you can really go away and then come back with like, right, okay, I think you need to do this or do that.
I think that's where the cooperation sort of comes in place. It's you working with the client and keeping them constantly involved to get the information you need, and it happens sometimes you get a brief and you have a really good idea and it doesn't quite fit what's been put in front of you, and you try and force it, to happen. But the knowledge from the client can help steer you in the right way. We can't know everything about every product, and that's why the clients are there. That's what they do, and it's really key to sort of have that collaboration. Got the word out. To work together to produce something great.
Yeah. I think we should always, whenever we get into a brief and we get in too deep sometimes, like you said, Lee, there's sometimes when there's just so much going on, we've always got to remember who it is we're doing it for, the end customer. What do they want them to do? What do we want them to do? And what do we want them to feel as a result of what we've done?
Yep. Feel is always a big one.
Yes.
How do you always, because I always think, yeah, you're right, bang on. We always take it from the client's point of view, but it's the wrong way to go.
Yeah, 100%.
It's because it's just like no. Who's the end viewer? Who's the person who's watching it?
Yeah.
Because then at the end of the day, they're going to make the decision on or the outcome based on what you're trying to deliver.
Yeah, it's kind of, I'm reading a book at the moment. I can't remember the exact title, but it's something based on moments, and it's about these moments that you create in life.
Is it red?
It's blue.
Ah, it's not This Is Your Life then.
No, close. Dun, 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 dun.
Showing your age there.
How do you know that one?
I used to love it. But yeah, I think so. It's about getting those moments in time where you can make someone feel, and then it leaves that brand story and involvement with them, and they feel a bit more involved in their brand. That's what it's all about, creating the story and vision for the customers and clients to fall in love with the brand and the projects.
Yeah. I mean, one of the most favourite part I have about briefs actually is the research you have to put into it and the rabbit holes you'll get yourself down. The stuff you'll find. I mean, I can't remember what I was researching the other day, but it got me editing a video together that had a violin in, a piano, some car ads. I just mushed it all together. But in the middle of all that, I got looking at like podcasts and Instagram posts, and then it got me into how to be a better parent. I don't know how it got me there, but it got me there. And then it got me into research. And then I found out there's this family that they do a podcast and they've produced a book. It's on Amazon. Okay. I'll give them it's Dirty Mother Pucker. Dirty Mother Pucker. Okay. And it's this couple, and they've made this book about how to be a better parent. They're on Heart Radio. It's amazing. And it's anyway, I found all this stuff out. I thought, how did I get here? But it was in it. But either way, all this research just pulled in, and it's that journey of discovery. And then when I cut all this stuff together, and I didn't mean to cut it together the way it was, and then I whacked some music on it, and I realised, wow, out of just this research, I've almost made a video. None of the footage is relevant.
Yeah.
But it is in terms of tone, in terms of lighting. But it's already formed something that you can then get excited. And it's so much easier to get excited about something you can see and hear and interact with a little bit. In video, you can't really interact with it, but do you understand what I mean? Where sometimes a creative brief can be such a barren wasteland of it's a white bit of paper with bits of words on it, and sometimes it doesn't. Sometimes it can inspire, but other times it can feel quite a process of I've got to go through all this to try and it's that researching part that can be given the time, but it is quite time consuming. To be fair.
I think a creative brief wants to spark other ideas and creations, isn't it? We had an instance the other day, didn't we, where we'd got a brief, we went to a meeting, we talked about the brief, but by the time we'd finished the meeting, we'd actually changed what it was we were talking about, and the whole concept was just evolving into something different as a result of everybody being around the table and sort of sharing their views. But the original brief was fine, it was a great brief, it kept us sort of focused, but as we started talking about the subject more, it just opened up. So I think they just need, as you said earlier, you've got to talk through it, and at the same time, and it's having that two-way thing. You need to be able to say, I like this, but not being afraid to say, it could be, because you want your energy. I always want to, I hate it. I always infect brands with like the energy and just like, and just, bring it to life, pump some air into it. And then you don't want, sometimes you don't want the client out there, deflating it.
Yeah.
I think you almost just want the key information on a page, just like bullet points, not paragraphs written out, and then just pick up the phone or have a meeting and just have a chat about it and expand it from there. You just need to know budgets, timings, the general idea of the campaign, obviously, and what they want to do and the goal. And from there, just let it evolve naturally, get a group of people together, and that's what we usually do as well, especially on the bigger projects. We just get everyone in together and we can just expand on an idea. And I think that's key, and it should be used in more projects, even down to the small sort of leaflets and things. I think sometimes on both sides, everyone can be a bit busy and you just need to get something out, so a brief becomes too simple in a way, and it's just producing something more than being a creative. So it's finding that balance.
I remember when I first started here, and you used to get like a creative brief, and I'd feel this immense amount of pressure that I had to come up with something creative, and I've got to make this work. What am I going to do? But the thing is, I always felt a massive sense of failure if I couldn't take it on myself and make it work. But then I discovered that in actual fact, it's much better to probably fail and to say, let's invite more people on board even though I feel like, I failed my job here because this is what I'm supposed to do, isn't it? I'm supposed to be a designer. Sure, I'm supposed to come with a creative. But in actual fact, it's that ability to say, I've got some ideas, but let's throw it out to the wider group. It's not failure. It's just 5 heads are better than 1. And you never know. And I'm not... out of these meetings, you might not get a great idea, but you might get the spark of something that then sparks something else. But I must. I hate failing.
And the other thing as well that helps with a brief is context, and sometimes that can be as much as a paragraph, or it can be you actually need a meeting to understand what it is you're delivering and what it's going to do within a context, because you can't just get a job in isolation and not really understand the full extent of where it's being seen, who it's going out to, why, at what time. You need all of that stuff and a bit of a backstory really to understand what its purpose is.
I think creative briefs should be like event launches. I think you should just get invited to an event. We've got a new creative brief. They just send you a piece of paper with one line on it, like, we want to go into space.
Done.
I don't know what that is. Could be anything. And then it's got a little, you're invited to, it could be a Skype call, could be a meeting. Face to face is always nice, because to be fair. And then you get together and you talk through the brief.
Inform the brief.
And then and rather than, two sides of A4, you think, right, okay, so what we've got to do here, what we've got to do there. Because,
it's that little bit of information, like you said, let's go into space. Your brain will just ping off ideas at that point, and then the more you read down a brief, it sort of constrains that a little bit more, because you're reading more and more of the limitations, and you don't really want that. You want that first idea to run and just see where your mind goes and what you can come up with, and then as you read down the list, work out how you can make it fit and how you can make it work. It's just not about putting the idea in a box early on.
Yeah, it's all about failing fast, isn't it? Definitely.
Exactly.
Maybe we should do that for our next brainstorm. Might just put one line on a bit of paper. What's this about? It's about that.
Yeah. In the small print,
and then get people to come down like, what do you actually think this brief's about? Write some ideas on the wall.
Write some ideas and then reveal the next line, and then sort of develop your idea and keep going down on a list.
And then just see what.
Do you remember that training session that we did that time? I can't remember who was here, but we had £1 million budget, and it was to do social good in the world.
Oh, that was hard.
And it was hard.
Oh, that was hard.
Yeah.
Once you've got that kind of budget, and once you've got that kind of, that's what you've got to do. It's like,
got to think
where
big.
do you start? What's the point you start with? So,
that was slowly, as my wife was, a slowly climbing monkey or something like that. You can't eat an elephant. How do you eat an elephant? I don't know why she's this teacher talk. I don't know. Anybody else want to round up on creative briefs? Anything else want to add?
I personally, I think.
Has anyone got any favourites?
It's a wonderful thing.
It can be.
It's a wonderful, beautiful thing. And I think the more we integrate them and the more we get clients on board straight away from the very first step, get them all excited and make it a client brief, one of those things where the whole studio feels a bit of a vibe and a bit of a pump from. I think it's definitely the way forward.
It's a start, isn't it?
Yeah, it is.
To start
something great. Yeah. And
sperm meeting an egg.
Like a big bang.
Anybody got any favourite briefs? Other than mine are super dry.
Yeah, ooh.
Why are you looking at me?
Look, UK.
We've worked on some exciting briefs over the time, and I think there are some standout briefs that come in, like you're saying, that get everyone involved, and we're all talking about it, and everyone wants to be part of that job when it happens.
Yeah.
And we, one of those comes along once every so often, and they are great to be part of. But
I mean, we've done loads of good jobs recently. They're all on our website as well. Check out the
case studies. Nice plug there.
They are looking amazing.
Captain Smooth.
Yes, Verizon's on there as well. Check out. A lot of work went into that video.
Paul, did that pen, that Lego one, was that an original brief, that, or did we go down that road? Because I can't remember that one.
I think again it was one of those classic. It evolved.
Did it evolve? Yeah, because I can't remember if she said. If Hannah said that it needs to be Lego stop motion, or if it. Oh no, it was because they built the city.
Yeah.
Who built it?
They did.
Oh really?
Yeah, one of our clients, they had an event, and whilst everyone was at this event, they were invited to build some Lego whilst they were there, and they kind of guided them. Look, we're trying to build a pen city. Can you build a house? Can you build this? And they had some. I think they even had printed documents, didn't they, of the things they had to build and stuff like that. So they went through and they built this, and they had a pen city built. And then it was like, right, so we've got this city. What do we do with it? And then they came, and then that's when we produced that video for them. But yeah.
The city was an evolution of a city they already had, from a line drawing through to an actual construction, and obviously Lego became the medium for the construction.
Yeah, that was great. That was good. That was good fun.
That was an exciting brief.
that was worryingly exciting. I'm sorry. Stop, man.
There's always got to be an element of excitement and worry, though, isn't there? You can't go into new ground.
It's like Alanis Morissette. You just got to bite off more than you can chew. On that note, we should probably get out.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
We're all melting. I'm literally now. I'm probably now at the end. I'll probably start. I'm put that puddle on the floor at the end of Razor Lost Art. I'm being mopped up by the sound effects. It's special effects crew. Anyway, thanks for tuning in. Joining. Oh, let's just go. Brain's melted. He's had enough. Cheers. Thank you very much. Be sure to check out our Instagram channels and us on LinkedIn, and obviously our case studies, as Carl has rightly said, on our website. Until next week. Cheers. Goodbye.
Bye.
Bye. How long are these podcasts?
It's time.
Dennis promised me 15-20 seconds.
Perfect. I can we get that down to 5.
And he said there'd be an ice cream van down there.
Yeah.
That's your agent, mate.